Hi, welcome to Jot Notes, a podcast where we dive into the lives of books and authors. My name is Jenna Green, and I'm a YA fantasy author of the Imagine series and the Reborn Mark series. Co-hosting this podcast is the amazing Miranda O, who also produces this podcast. She is a contemporary chick lit author of the Chin Up, Tits Out series. Welcome, Miranda.
Hi. Of course, I'm the producer and run into technical difficulties right at the beginning. So needless to say, it's a full moon out today. So we're going to just give me a free pass. But as always, I'm super stoked to introduce our guest today. We have Dr. Teresa Cody, who hails from Texas. Now, she's gained both an undergraduate degree and a dental degree. And events in 2018 led her to pen a book called You Healing You. We welcome her to the show in order to learn about her and her work. And I'm super excited to dive into everything that she is. So welcome, Teresa. I really appreciate you joining us today.
Hello, love it.
Now let's talk about your undergraduate degree and your dental degree. Like, I want to know more about how you got into all this, and of course, everything else that kind of encompasses who Teresa is.
Well, I received a biology degree from the University of Texas in Austin and realized somewhere around junior year that I did not want to teach biology anywhere. So I had to decide, and it's kind of funny. I can't believe I ever became a dentist because I possibly had the worst dentist as a child. He did not give us anesthetic. You're like, what? But I realized after I became a dentist that at that point in time, they had to mix up their own anesthetic. So he gave it to the adults, but I don't think he decided he wasn't mixing any up for the kids. But in college, I found a dentist that I went, oh, this is the way it's supposed to be. And so that led me to dental school. And in dental school was the first time I was able to take a class on biochemistry. It's kind of interesting because now all undergraduates take biochemistry. And it turns out that my little pea brain really likes biochemistry the best.
Interesting.
And if I had probably done that in undergraduate, I would have taken a completely different direction. But I didn't. So, yeah. So my dad was an organic chemist, so I guess I inherited that. But I liked biochemistry. There were less problems, more systems and less problems, less mathematical problems. Yeah,
Right. It's funny how when you start to learn things, especially if you have your eyes focused on a path, but then you learn, everything kind of outside of there, that the theory or the components are attached to that. And then something completely different piques your curiosity. And you're like, you know what? I'm just going to take a left here. Didn't expect to, but we're going to take a left and see where it goes.
Right.
I changed my major 3 times, I think. And my best friend started in English and owns her own archaeology company. So you never know.
No, you never know. Yeah, I took archaeology and went, yeah, that one, no. Biology, yes. Archaeology, no.
It's funny. Science and math were really never a strong suit or an interest to me until later in my life. And as I started to have or encompass health issues myself was when I started to gain more interest in science and learning about like what makes me me. And I've, gone to the doctor and say like, okay, this is the problem. And they're like, well, here is a pain medication, or here is an XYZ. And I've looked at them, I'm like, I appreciate it, but like, that's a Band-Aid. We're going to find the root cause of this. Like, we're going to go back to science. And they're like, this is why we like you as a patient. Also, you're one of the pain in the butts. I'm like, that's why we get along, doc.
Yeah, no, what they write in your chart, you don't want to read.
No.
Because they do not want to get to root causes. That is not part of our medicine.
No, it's not. It's really interesting. My partner is a doctor as well. And I was diagnosed with endometriosis, and I want to know why my body does what it does. Like, why do the cells start to replicate outside of the uterus? That's not normal. And nobody can tell me this. Science can't tell me this. Doctors can't tell me this, but they have 1,000,001 remedies to help Band-Aid the symptoms that come with it.
Right.
And he's like, I value what you've experienced, because he's like, in the end, you're going to make me a better doctor, because now when somebody comes to me with these symptoms, I have empathy and compassion because my wife has gone through it and my wife has explained things to me. Because it's like, that science is just not there. And I was like, well, I guess Big Pharma profits quite a bit off of all of the remedies versus, deep diving into the root cause. And I know we're going to kind of get into your book, You Healing You, but I want to tangent before we get there. And I want to talk about what happened in 2018 and what led you down this life path and inspired you to write a book.
Well, I was at the all-important hairdressers,
Best place to discover ideas.
Right. And she had trigger fingers because she's been cutting hair and blow drying. You can imagine this action over and over. And do you know that they cut hair with the ring finger? Like they do like this. Well, whichever way. But the weakest finger, I'm like, why would you do that? I don't know. That's how we were taught. So her middle finger and her ring finger were very, very hurt. And she had gotten a steroid shot, which is pretty much what your MD offers you. And it worked for 4 months and 4 days to the moment. And she said, I'm going to get another steroid shot. And I said, you can't keep doing that. I said, you really can't do it any more than 3 times in one area for a lifetime. Now, they've kind of changed that. Now they're kind of doing it. You can do it twice a year. But anyway, so I don't know. I'm sitting in her chair and I said, why don't we try PRP, which is platelet-rich plasma? So we have used platelet-rich plasma in dentistry for over 30 years. I didn't know how great it was, but we knew we had to use it. So when you get a bone graft for an implant, the bone graft doesn't take if you don't put PRP in there. There's not enough blood flow in the jawbone. So she, of course, being my friend for many years, said, oh, okay. I mean, my sister was like, no, she didn't. I said, no, she did. She said, okay. So she came into the dental office and we drew her blood and you put it in a centrifuge, and all the red blood cells are heavy. So they fall to the bottom and all the plasma floats on top. So you pipette off the plasma, and I injected the plasma into her hand. So when she came to me, I don't even know what made me do it. I took a picture very quickly, and her hand, she could make a fist about that much. These fingers did not touch. And she asked me, when do you think I'll see something? I was like, I don't know, 6 weeks. Yeah. So the next day she texted me a picture and she was touching. Her index finger and her thumb were touching. So I was like, oh, this is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did that on Monday afternoon. Wednesday afternoon, she sends me a picture and, oh, I'm going the wrong way. And she's making a fist. And I went, okay, I got to know everything about this. This is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
No, not 6 weeks, 2 days. And we've probably injected her hand one more time in 3 years. And she's still a hairdresser. And she's just better. So that's when that was that swerve into a new
tangent, turn right.
Plot twist.
Yeah, right.
Right. And so that's what led me into this new adventure. And kind of, I thought, I got to tell people about this. So I decided what's one way I could tell them is write a book.
Definitely, definitely. I could be wrong with my science, but I feel like it has something to do with along the same line. So when I know somebody who had Hodgkin's lymphoma, chemo wasn't working, so they did a stem cell transplant, and they took the blood out of one arm, put it through a machine, and it spun the blood, so it basically all the levels separated, and then they took out the stem cells, froze them, and then re-injected them after basically 7 days of just straight chemo. And then one of my best friends, she had several knee injuries in her early 20s and surgeries over and over and over and over and over again. And then she ended up paying out of pocket to go down into the US to get a stem cell injection in her knees. And now she walks, I don't know, like 10K a day outdoors, no matter what the weather. She doesn't live in Canada. She lives in New Zealand now. But like, she's just like, man, like other parts of my body are breaking, but my knees are great now. And so like learning and seeing that when like that your body has the ability to heal itself was some of the coolest aha and realizations that I had experienced firsthand. And it's just you want to just share the information more. Am I kind of right in the stem cell and
you are
is it kind of in the same realm?
Okay, so it is, except this chiropractor and I had a big fight about it. But okay, I can't re-inject the plasma back into your blood vessels because I just got it out of there.
Right.
But what the difference is in the plasma are all these growth factors. Mm-hmm. And they are, I like to call them healing factors. And they are the directors of the healing process. So there is a growth factor in the plasma that attracts stem cells.
Right.
There is a growth factor that tells the stem cells what to become. If you have stem cells in a dish in the laboratory, they never change. Mm-hmm. You need plasma to tell them what to become. So you're right on the same, it's exactly the same idea. This is all the healing directors. And what we do is we concentrate them in a knee or a shoulder or your face. Right. Or, and then now like with a lymphoma, I would go do a stem cell because we're not allowed in the US to really take stem cells and grow them in the laboratory and put them back in.
Right.
I think Big Pharma doesn't really want that to happen.
Like, why
My
allow
word.
your body to heal yourself instead of having a reoccurring prescription for pain and then a reoccurring prescription for antidepressants or anti-anxieties because you're constantly in pain, among the billion other laundry lists of things. I did research for my next book series, and I interviewed 100 women from around the world that have endometriosis, and not one single one of those 100 people only had one chronic illness diagnosed.
Really?
Not a single one just was like, oh, I just have endometriosis. It was, I have endometriosis and and I'm like, hold on a minute. I don't know how to type that. I don't know how to spell that. I'm like phonetically spelling things and then trying to figure out what the heck it was afterwards. Like, thank goodness I recorded the call, so I was able to go back and like voice text when they were saying it. But it's so interesting for me to learn that. And I'm sure with all of your discoveries too, is when you have somebody that comes to you, there's rarely ever one issue that needs to be addressed. There's a laundry list of issues that need to be addressed. But when you get down to the root cause, the plasmatic, I don't know if that's a word, but we're going to make a word right now, plasmatic level, your body can heal itself from there up. In my belief. I could be completely off my rocker, but
we have all the tools to heal ourselves. So all we're doing is concentrating those healing factors in an area.
Yeah.
And I wonder what it would do for endometriosis.
Yeah. I
because wonder. 2 years ago, I had my nurse inject my entire head with my plasma, and my psoriasis completely disappeared, healed up, and went away. I've only had psoriasis since I was born.
I've only been plagued
with it that way. But we do, you probably would be interested. We do an O shot, which Dr. Runnels coined, and it really helps for incontinence. And it's interesting. You inject it into the vaginal wall, and then the bladder's right next to it.
Right.
So the plasma knows where the damage is. If you can just lob it close to the injury, it does the rest. And but it would be interesting if anybody was interested, to inject the plasma into the uterus. I mean, not so easy.
Right. It's not like it's just hanging out in a really easy, accessible area, but
but everything I've seen in 3 years is remarkable. It's like,
that's pretty cool.
Wow, this is a miracle. Well, yeah, God made this. Man didn't make this.
Right. It's not synthetically made. It's like, I do believe that our bodies have significant power that we don't know how to tap into yet.
Well, they say we only use 10% of our brain. Well,
there's 90%.
Got.
Right? Like, right. And that could be a whole other conversation.
I think my 10% is just locker combinations from junior high and like song lyrics and like the fact that I probably forgot a dentist appointment in 1994. But I don't know what you guys are using your 10% for, but
yeah. Mine is not constructive. It is not. It's making up words like plasmatic. That's
there you go.
That's where my 10% goes to.
8, 24, 6.
Just in case you were wondering what my locker combo was in grade 8.
So what would so if a reader wants to pick up the book, You Healing You, what are they going to find within its pages?
They are going to read about my nurse, Glenna, and I's journey. and the stories and the discoveries we made along the way. It's really about the first 2 years that we opened. I have a dental office. It's called CNC Dental. And I'm no dummy. I put it in Sugar Land, Texas. I'm just kidding. That was funny. It makes cavities. No, we really did have the sugar factory. But it really
I know
is.
a dentist called Dr. Payne, so yeah.
Yeah, no. It really is Houston, Texas. The suburb is just crammed against it. But anyway, and I had an office next to my dental office, and it was a med spa. And the woman who leased it from me, she didn't want to renew her lease, and I was trying to rent out the space. And then all of a sudden, I ran into plasma, PRP, and I went, this is so interesting. So I have a nurse and I have a medical director so that we can do a lot of stuff. And they will read about all of our adventure, finding out how great platelet-rich plasma is.
That's awesome. So you come from more of the science background, and now you're in the literary world. What was it difficult to get your words onto paper, or did it just, smooth its way out? Like, how was that writing process?
Okay, the writing was pretty interesting because I heard an author, and now I wish I knew who it was, because it was somebody very prolific who writes a lot of books, and I don't know, but I heard him say that he wrote 200 crappy words a day. And I thought, I can write 200 crappy words a day.
Yeah, so can I. So can Miranda.
Right. But that got me over the editing while you write. I just started blah. And,
Get it out.
Just get it out. And I would sit on my porch and I would write. And sometimes I would write 300 crappy words.
Yeah.
And sometimes it was only 90. But my goal was 200 words a day. And all of a sudden you have, it's not a long book. It's an easy read. To say that. And it has pictures. So I have women go, yeah, I can read that book. It's 100. I mean, I thought it was like a tome, it's like this. No, it's 100 pages. But it's my first book. What made me think I could even write one?
It makes sense, though. They say you can't edit a blank page. So you got to get something down. And, people are like, well, it's not coming out the way I want, or it's not perfect. Of course not. Yeah, you're right. Most of it's pure crap. And some of it will be crap you store in a drawer, and some of it will be crap that you pull out and you do the knit and the grit and you get through it. And you look at some parts and you go, oh my. But then you look at other parts and you're like, oh my, look how well I did it. And you can fix something that's there, but you have to build it first. And so that's a very good moral for all authors. And that's the one piece of writing advice that I give. Like, I don't throw out writing advice, but if people ask me and they're like, what writing advice do you have? And I go, don't edit as you go, because you'll just do that first chapter 992 times. Just write it and then just head to the end. And then you have distance from it. And then, you've developed all the characters and the plot, so you can go back and be like, okay, I just got to tweak these things. And then, you can fix it. And so that's just really good general advice to have. Just give it a try. Right. Go get something down.
And I love that it's 100 pages and it has pictures from a first book point of view, and also something that, dare I say it, newer in the medical literary world, where, random Joe Blows like myself and Jenna can go into a store and pick it up, or go wherever we're going to buy it and buy it. It's digestible. I have bought plenty of books when it comes to all of my chronic conditions and how to heal and balance my hormones. And they're hundreds of pages long. And, for the first 100 pages, I'm sitting there and I'm highlighting, I'm dog tagging, highlighting, dog tagging, and writing notes. And then after I'm done, I'm exhausted and I don't know what I've absorbed. I don't know if I've absorbed any of it. It's overwhelming to begin with, and then to choose the right to. So I think that for a first book, and for something like P2P, am I saying that correctly? Yeah. It's digestible, and it's also more appealing and attractive to the reader that, okay, if this is something that I'm really maybe curious about because I have XYZ and I want to see if I can deal with it going down this path, then awesome. It's only maybe a couple hours of time for me to read and digest it and then take my next steps in action.
It reminds me of you ever go to university, when you're in university and you buy the used books? It's only the first chapter that's ever marked.
Yeah.
Everything after that is pristine, right? Because it's daunting and overwhelming. But if you can, chunk it down, then a reader can, just as Miranda said, they can make their way through. Now, you said it was your first book. Is that as in that's my first book, or there will be a second book?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I've seen more in the last year as well. And so I don't know. I haven't put that on my plate yet, but
No pressure. I just caught the word first, and well, maybe you'll write something else. Who knows?
I know. I made a documentary that I never thought I would make. So that was like a long time ago, 2007. So it's so interesting. So now I've made a movie and I've written a book. There you go.
There you go.
What does she have to do now? Like
crossed off the
start a
bucket list.
play or something? I'm not really sure.
Broadway.
Yeah.
Broadway, yeah.
Broadway.
Oh, yeah, Broadway. Oh, gosh. No, I don't think so.
That's Jenna's forte. That's Jenna's dream come true.
Oh, it is?
Yes, Hans.
Okay.
They're called Spirit Fingers.
Okay, that too. Whatever you want to call it. So, Teresa, where can people find your book?
Well, it is on Amazon because I'm a individual indie publisher, right? I did get help, though. I will tell authors, get help doing the, I don't know, there's a lot of intricate parts to publishing a book. You got to get the numbers and the stuff. So it's on Amazon. It's You Healing You by Teresa Cody. And it's right there. Well, I made a documentary, so she always put science books and lighting and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, I can do that.
Sure, I can do that.
Well, that's wonderful.
That is, sorry, Jenna. It's so important. Your advice on to get help when you are publishing a book is something that Jenna and I are never afraid to ask for help and bounce ideas off of each other and the network of authors and the community of authors that we've interviewed over the last few years. We are not in competition with one another. People pick up more than one book to read in more than one genre, in some cases, in a lot of cases. And so if we can all lean on each other in the indie world, and make each other a little bit more successful and make that journey a little bit easier, then there's going to be a million other great stories or great discoveries like you have made out there to share with people. And I mean, you're out there helping people and changing people's lives. And that's a really important message to share with everybody. So we're really happy to have the opportunity to share and to learn today.
Well, thank you. This has been fun.
So Miranda's going to throw links to you and links to Amazon and things like that in the show notes and things. So thank you very, very much for coming here today and joining us. And we really appreciate it. Just before we sign off, we need to send a big shout out to our show sponsors. So a big thank you to Creative Edge Publicity and the Writers Corner Network. And of course, all our viewers and all our listeners, thank you very, very much.